name's Brooklyn, otherwise known as the Dramatic Otaku, and welcome to the WEEB wrap-up for December. This really shouldn't be a 1 month thing. This is usually a bi-monthly occurrence on my channel if you are new. But I fucked it up this year by making it the first month a monthly thing and then making it bi-monthly. That being said, I made it in 2022. So, welcome to December. It is technically a partially November-December WEEB wrap-up, as to get out the November-October WEEB wrap-up, I had to cut off like half of November. So, this is partially November, mostly December WEEB wrap-up. This will be in slight different parts, as this is being filmed before Christmas, meaning I have a few days until the end of December. So, let's get onto the anime portion first, because I have not watched a lot of anime in December, but I actually have watched more than some months this year, so let's get into December anime and just jump into it. Now, this was technically November. I watched a short series on YouTube called Artist Switched, and I love this little series so much. It's so good. Like, it's like a short, very short anime. It's only about 6 episodes, and each episode is about 6 to 10 minutes each. I really like this series. I think it is such a amazing project, and it's completely free to watch on YouTube, and it collaborates with a bunch of amazing musical artists. The animation is done fantastically, and I just really like this fucking series. It made me cry at the end when the girl, if you've seen the Moe Shop excerpt, that is actually part of Artist Switch. This is Artist Switch. It is honestly animated really well, and the music is fucking fantastic. Now, on to my little blurb that I've fucking written. An online short anime series that you can find on YouTube. They fucking amazing watch for messages about self-love, stunning CGI visuals, a little bit of gay, and a whole lot of great music from a wide range of performers such as Giga and Moe Shop. It's super short and you can watch it all within an hour. Our witch, Nina, is a girl who can grant wishes with her magic shot. Not her magic, but her magic shot. Each episode we're given some backstory on the next customer. As time progresses, we learn more about our Nina, especially when people's wishes don't go the way she imagines. Honestly, it is a 9 out of 10 short series. I don't give out 9 out of 10s all that often, but I really like this short series. Maybe because it's a short series, I like it a little bit more. The visuals, again, are fucking stunning, and the music is top tier. I think it is awesome and a really good storyline. This is what Bubble probably should have been in terms of plotline, like in terms of engagement with its plotline. I honestly love the music, visuals, and storyline of this series, and it is super effective. It also like goes a lot into fashion, like you should just look at the Artist Switch YouTube channel in general. The whole project is fantastic, and I am classifying it as anime because it is technically anime. You also might like this series if you like the concept of Howl's Moving Castle, being that Howl's Castle is in multiple places all at once, with multiple stories converging into one plotline, like it does similar in Howl's Moving Castle. Now, going into actually... I'm going to go feed a cat, and then I will tell you about things that I watched in December, because it's not necessarily anime, but I enjoyed it and want to talk about it. That being said, we're moving on to another Netflix series that I watched quite recently, and I've just got the notes for it, and that is Gudetama, An Excellent Adventure. Now, I am technically classifying this as anime because Gudetama is a fucking egg. He has to be animated. Now, I really like Gudetama as a like Sanrio character. It's It's fucking cute. I really like Gudetama. I've got a bunch of Gudetama merch. Though, honestly, my favorite Sanrio characters are the likes of Cinnamoroll and Pom Pom Puddin, but I don't see enough love for Pom Pom Puddin, so I have more Cinnamoroll and Gudetama stuff. So like my top 3 are Pom Pom Puddin, Cinnamoroll, Gudetama. Cinnamoroll and Pom Pom Puddin can be like switched out. But Gudetama, classifying as anime, because you have to animate the fucking egg, and half of it is technically CGI animated, so I'm classifying it as anime. This is a kid's show, it's in Japanese, it's on Netflix, and it is subbed. And I just want to say, it's a smidgen bit fucked up that a fertilized egg, Pio, or Shakipio, and Gudetama are classified as brothers in this series. Gudetama is a literal egg, and Shakipio, who I'm just gonna refer to as Pio for this review, is a fucking chick. It's a little bit fucked up. Also, the humor of this series is so dark. Like, for an egg, for a Sanrio series, I get Gudetama's meant to be like, sort of kind of depressing or depressed, or like, I don't want to do anything, I'm lazy, it's too much effort, that sort of stuff. But oh my god, some of the humor is so fucking dark, especially with the fact that Gudetama and Pio being siblings is a little bit grim, because it's like, Pio was born, Gudetama was not. It's like comparing my period and a baby as being siblings. That's what it feels like, and it's really weird. Also, Pio is very, very cute. Why the fuck does it have a tooth? I don't like that. Also, Pio's voice after a while gets really, really annoying because it's a baby character. So I'm not a huge fan of Pio's voice. The voice actor is very skilled to do such an annoying fucking baby voice, but like, I love the Gudetama voice. I love how all the eggs are like little just Gudetamas. They all have the same face and like talk in similar fashions. It's so fucking funny and fun. I love that. Also, we're now going to go through the notes that I made. The first one is a fried chicken place. The dark fucking humor is top tier for a children's TV show. Holy shit, haha. I don't quite recall what that was, but it was certainly a joke. I'm pretty sure it's because Gudetama, the farm that the chicken that laid Gudetama, comes from like a fried chicken place, so I really dislike the white of Gudetama being attached to Gudetama. I thought it was like detachable because he's the yolk, but no, it's actually physically attached to him, so yeah. Multiple times I noted that this series is weirdly dark, specifically in the way that Gudetama talks. So like, the first instance of Gudetama talking, he talks about like very philosophical stuff, and I'm just like, oh, is this my existential crisis in one character? What is this? And a lot of the series goes through the life of Gudetama, quite literally from birth to death. Gudetama sounding like a fucking Splatoon character is iconic. I love the joke of him being thrown around. He sounds like a Splatoon character when he's thrown from place to place. It's really, really fucking funny. It's unexpectedly fucking funny. And I was like, not really, really tired when watching this, so I was completely normal when watching this series, and I laughed my ass off at Gudetama being thrown around and sounding like a Splatoon character when he was thrown around. It's very funny. Anyway, all the different eggs having a convo is iconic. The pudding is cute. Gudetama for Prime Minister is an actual plotline in this series. This is a fun slapstick kind of kid humor with a very dark sense of adult humor on top of it. Gudetama threatening Gudetama is so fucking cute. Series is super cute, but probably something that you should have on in the background, as it's not super engaging. Again, it's more of a kids show than everything else. It feels like one of those shows that would like play in a 2 to 5 minute slot while you're waiting for these two big shows to play on like ABC3 or ABC Me. It's not really a series where you can binge watch it, but it's not like a series where you have to binge watch it. It's not like you'll die if you don't watch this series kind of thing. It's just if you like Sanrio and really like Gudetama, this might be a fun series to watch. Also, spoilers for the ending. Pio's mother being dead is a fucking gut punch, except Pio's mother is not dead. But when you find out that Pio's mother is possibly dead, absolute goddamn gut punch. And last but not least, I did say this was the life from birth to death of Gudetama. So Gudetama's Excellent Adventure, in just one sentence, or one like short explanation, is Gudetama and Pio have been born in a sushi shop. Pio wants to find their mother after imprinting on several different items, such as Gudetama himself. Gudetama just wants to sit there, possibly be eaten, who knows, and Pio says, no, we need to find our mother. Gudetama multiple times says, we probably aren't the same thing, but okay. And they go on their adventure to find Gudetama and Shakipyo's mother. Except they don't have the same mother in the end. And they go on a big adventure. Gudetama starts rotting, so they have to go on an adventure to find out how to make Gudetama not rot. And they eventually find the farm where Gudetama and Pio's mother are from. And with the help of an old lady, they find Gudetama's mother. And said old lady then eats Gudetama. I'm not fucking with you. That is actually how the series ends. Gudetama, having met his mother and like fulfilling his purpose, now fulfills his actual purpose and gets fucking eaten by the old lady that helps him. When I say the dark humor of this series is so bizarre, because this is assumedly a series for children, is so weird. Like, I wasn't expecting this series to end the way that it did, and it's honestly really interesting. So yeah, that is my review of Gudetama, an excellent adventure. It's on Netflix, go look for it. Now we're gonna go into December manga. Okay, when I'm recording this, I am very tired. It is currently light outside because it is 6 in the morning and I have stuff to do today. But I filmed stuff instead. Anyway, I'm going to be reading off my things for some of the manga that I read this month. So, starting off with something that I read in November, technically, instead of December, that being Moso Telepathy, a spur-of-the-moment romantic read with 7 volumes. Moso Telepathy is the story of Ayako, a psychic and pretty boy Hayato, a dead-faced, horrendous perv with a major crush on Ayako. This series goes through their last year of high school as Ayako integrates into Hayato's friend group and meeting Mana and Akira, having her power a secret while being blasted with horny pictures from Hayato's brain. It's a really funny short series with the same type of format as I Think My Son Is Gay, and with over 700 chapters. Technically each chapter is a singular page, so the 7 volumes and the chapters are every new page, and it's a similar format to I Think My Son Is Gay. I really like it, and I've read it online, and I think you guys will like it too, because it's very cute, and if you like romance, I think you will actually like this series a lot. It did end before I think it should have. I actually think there should have been like a little extra part at the end, but who am I to say? It is very cute and very short. Very short in heavy quotation marks. But yes, so let's get into the actual December manga. Dark Edge, which is a horror manga series. So, the body proportions are weird as fuck, serious yaoi hands going on, it drags. Might just be my mental state, not going to lie. Honestly, with the amount of students get trapped in a school and a death game starts, manga that I've read, the concept of this one ended up being really stale. And I read like 4 chapters, I skimmed over the 5th and decided not to continue. I can see the appeal, especially with those who are new to horror, but this series really isn't for me. It's just particularly and I wasn't in the mindset to reread a concept that I have read 100 times, or what at least feels like 100 times before. The concept is our main character's mother dies and is put into care of his estranged father, who owns a mysterious school. This school is shrouded in mystery and only has one school rule: leave before sundown. Those who break this rule are bound to go missing and return a different person. A dead shell of their former selves, literally. And it's up to main character to discover what is going on, but he's afraid of the dark. Next is the Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins. This is a new release recently. A small family wakes up in a hospital after a car crash and all of them have ended up with amnesia. While attempting to remember their memories, they imagine all new ones. Leaving the hospital, they are all excited to see their family home, only to find that everything is not as it seems. This is only in its opening chapters, but it's already super fun and interesting for what it's got. I will, however, say something with the art style does frustrate me. How every single character has one eye that's half closed and one eye that's wide open. That really frustrates me for some reason, because they always seem really weary and tired, and it's just a little bit of a frustrating art style for me. But otherwise, I'm actually very intrigued with this series and will be continuing to read it in 2023. Next is Urusei Yatsura Volume 2. I finally got my hands on the book! Volume 2 continues Lam Shinobu and Ataru's story, introducing a new love rival of Mendo, the rich type who's essentially Ataru if Ataru actually cared about women and not them physically. I love this volume as we start to see Ataru's feelings blossoming truly for Lam while still having his feelings for Shinobu. And honestly, I can't tell which ship I like more. Probably Lam and Ataru, because it's Lam. She's the main cell for this series, so I like the ship a lot. I found it difficult to start with it actually taking a lot longer to get into than I would have thought. Then just on one Thursday afternoon, it took me 2 hours to read the entire thing. So, yeah, I'm really liking the series as it is thus far. And I am loving all of the costume design because, oh my gosh, there's so many cosplay ideas for Lam in this series. And yeah, so that being said, that was Urusei Yatsura Volume 2. It's good. I don't like talking about stories while they're midway through. Anyway, Romantic Killer is the last, not the last, but one of the last for this section, mangas on this list, and I've read chapters 1 through 9. Now, Romantic Killer got me interested because there is an anime adaptation on Netflix. I have a feeling the Shonen Jump app is doing the same sort of thing as Kaguya-sama, where each volume they release a bunch of chapters because the anime clearly exceeds the manga, so that's why I think that way. Anyway, if you like webtoons, shoujo, and particular series subverting genre devices by falling headfirst into them, then Romantic Killer is for you. It follows our gamer girl, boy disliking protagonist Anzu, and an imp, or romance fairy as they would like to be called, completely flips their world, and she has become the chosen to save the world. Be the example for young, uninterested women finding romance, at the cost of her games, her chocolate, and losing her cat privileges. Shenanigans ensue, and honestly, if I wasn't a sucker for webtoons and super obvious tropes, I wouldn't have liked the series. It is actually very average for a comedy and a prospective romance. There is also an accompanying anime which I'm hopefully eventually going to watch. It is in general a 5 out of 10 series for me.
Hello and welcome to my portable setup and significantly worse
sound quality, don't ask about my hair, and let's get into the rest of the actual final WEEB wrap up of the year, that being December. What are some of the things that I have read in the last 2 weeks? Here, I bought myself Junji Ito's Venus in the Blind Spot recently. We'll get into that later, but I do want to note this right here, which is my new Demon Slayer book. This is just a bunch of extras that I'd already read online and didn't realize they made a physical copy for, so I bought it, reread the stories. It's basically half of the short stories are about Gyu, half of them are about Rengoku, and it's about their lives as Hashira. There's a lot of Mitsuri in this, so I really like it. Okay, anyway, let's move into my opinions of some of the stuff that I've read and watched in the end of December. Starting with the thing that I didn't end up saying last time, which was Reiko and the Zombie Shop. Now, I know I just said a lot of these are going to be short, but Reiko and the Zombie Shop is not. Okay, so before this starts, I'm going to put a trigger warning for mentions of suicide, sexual assault, and World War II Nazi imagery. Yes, for some reason, there's a lot of Nazi imagery in this book. Also, subtle red sun imagery, an actual fucking Nazi appears. The character who does summon the Nazi does discredit and say that it's a bad person, basically. But still, its existence is a little weird. There's also the use of Nazi uniforms, Soviet uniforms, and for some reason one of the characters is shown a lot in Nazi gear. So that's the most I'm gonna say on that. There's a shocking amount of it. So if you wanna give Reiko and the Zombie Shop, or Reiko the Zombie Shop, a pass, I wouldn't blame you, because that really surprised me and put me off. It's not a huge part of the story, but the fact that it's there is a little bit weird. Okay, so the summary of Reiko the Zombie Shop. Reiko is a girl who can summon the souls of the dead to life and hear their last thoughts to the people who killed them. She's a fantastic summoner who uses her powers to get paid, becoming the Zombie Shop. There are unfortunately only 33 chapters in English, whereas there is 60 chapters of the actual novel online. However, there's apparently, according to my manga list, only 58 chapters or something like that. So clearly the website that I read it on counted some of the bonus chapters as full chapters, and thus there's 61 online in Japanese. So if you want to read the full series in Japanese, you can, you just can't do it in English. Anyway, so my personal opinions. I'm fully just gonna read my script on this. Again, not too confident doing my whole shtick not at home. Okay, so in terms of plotline, there are two main plot lines that interconnect, but there are also weirdly separate at the same time, running parallel and then crossing and then running completely opposite directions at the same time. So there's plot A, Yurikawa the child murderer. There's also a strange amount of child murder in this goddamn fucking story, and as well as Yurikawa's family, and plot B is Reiko's twin sister Yurika. So I only read up to chapter 33, which chapter 33 leads off into the start of a new arc and seemingly the end of Yurikawa's arc, but blends well into the finale of the series for myself as someone who doesn't get to read the rest of the series unless I want to learn Japanese, which I'm gonna try, but not necessarily for this book. So, personally, with Ryuka, why have I spelled it two different ways? Ryuka dead, that plotline comes mostly to a close. I'm assuming she'll be brought back as a zombie in later chapters. I feel like specifically for Reiko, I think he does a form of female rage quite well in terms of Reiko's clients. However, when I described Magical Girl Apocalypse as one of those manga, this is the kind of manga I meant. Very early 2000s, panty shots, teen girls with massive tits, sailor uniforms being a key part of the character design, zombies, and murder with slight undertones of the mangaka's possible kinks being in the same area. However, this is significantly better than Magical Girl Apocalypse and has a storyline that I feel like I can follow, as well as the fact that it gripped me in with the fact that the first chapter is a pedophile being murdered. So yeah, that was a benefit for this series, that is for certain. Again, the whole imagery stuff, that comes later, and that really surprised me and very nearly like turned me away. But the fact that it comes up surprisingly, like you get like one shot of like that imagery in 1 or 2 panels of this chapter, you'll go, ooh, that's a bit weird, keep reading, and then forget that it was there until the next one shows up, which can be several chapters in between. So that's why I was sort of like kept reading along, if that makes sense. It's better and more interesting plot-wise than The Undead Messiah, and in terms of the sins it possesses, they are similar to Magical Girl Apocalypse, but if you think of like the mangakas having like dials for how badly they want to turn these sins up, you've got Reiko the zombie shop at like a 2 or a 3 for the imagery and the weird like ooh kind of aspect of this manga, whereas Magical Girl Apocalypse has it up to 11 or 12 personally. Reiko and the zombie shop is significantly better. I'm only comparing it because I do see it as one of those manga where it's very like, it's got a lot of fan service in it, and more questionable things, but it actually has a solid plotline to run through it. Now, I have a lot of positives and negatives to why you should and should not read this series. First of all, the trigger warning should be an indication. If you're uncomfortable with that, don't read it. It will like spring up out of nowhere, as I said before, and like you'll be really off-put. If you don't like seeing that stuff, don't read it. I wouldn't recommend it. And the trigger warning should be especially heated for this one, because I am actually going to show some pictures from the series in this section, because there is a lot of imagery that I would like to show, but it's only certain panels that I really want to show. So, to start off with the positives, first chapter having a pedophile being fucking murdered after his daughter is resurrected and tells her mother what had happened. It is quite an awesome opener, and this is where I get the female rage thing from, because as soon as the mother finds out that her husband was molesting her daughter, she kills that motherfucker, asks Reiko to resurrect him again so she can do it again. It's amazing, no hesitation, dead. Love that. Great opening to a series. I love this for the revenge stories that it has. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome in that way. The twin being a villain is interesting concept that is very cliche at this point, but a cliche that I've rarely ever read in manga. Like, you expect it a lot, but you never really read it. The gothic fashion is really cool and very late 90s. Clearly the mangaka does care about fashion in some form. My middle range for opinions is that 90% of the men are drawn so creepily and is usually the bad guys in these scenarios. I enjoy that the characters are honestly so very displeasing to look at, but it gets a little nausea-inducing over time. There is also, as I said, a shocking amount of child murder. If you don't want child murder in your horror, I would give this one a pass. It was just a little too much child murder in this story, which one of the characters is a child murderer. Even outside of that plot point, it is just a shocking amount of children are dead in this series. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to pass it up for that. Then the last thing is that, or last two things should I say, is that it bounces around in time a lot. I don't know if that's because the scans did it that way, or if it's just because some stuff is meant to be in the like continuum of the story and some of it's meant to be like one-shot stuff for like later or after the series is done. So yeah, there's a lot of panty shots. Like I said, it's that manga, it's that kind of manga, but it's toned down significantly less than the likes of magical girl apocalypse and has a decent plot line that I can follow, where I'm actually invested in the character, unlike magical girl apocalypse. Now, the negatives. You already know what it is, as I mentioned it before. There is a shocking amount of Nazi imagery in this manga. Like, genuinely pretty shocking. Like, there are characters in Nazi paraphernalia, and there's a literal zombie Nazi in this manga. This imagery appears a lot closer to the start of the manga, then dissipates, and then one or two like shots of the character in Nazi paraphernalia will appear throughout the entire series, and it's very, very shocking to see, honestly very strange. The manga is somewhat self-aware, saying that Nazis are scum, but then using the imagery of the swastika and the SS uniform on characters and in certain fashion panels and fashion shots, and again having a whole ass Nazi as a character in this story. As much as I say the fashion is very cool in this series, I could do without all of that. Just all of the imagery. It adds literally nothing to the story. Like, you could make that Nazi character just a soldier and it would make no difference. All of the imagery that's in there can be just plucked out and the story would be completely fine. So I don't know why it's there. So if you wanted to dodge Reiko the zombie shop because of that, I would not blame you. Genuinely, the story is good. It's a decently good story. But if that kind of stuff bothers you, then I would 100% skip this if I were you. If you are a horror fanatic, maybe try and give it a go if you aren't as bothered by that, but just be warned that it's there. I'm actually kind of glad. I was considering buying the novels, but knowing that that's in the novels, I'm just happy I read it online instead. And yeah, so that is the end of Reiko and the Zombie Shop. I keep saying and the Zombie Shop, it's Reiko the Zombie Shop, because Reiko is the zombie shop. She's not working for a zombie shop. That is what you have to understand. Her being able to summon zombies is what makes her a zombie shop, and she gets paid for it. So, moving into some more manga that I read this year, in the very end of the year. This was around Christmas, because I got these books for Christmas or got them around Christmas. That is the likes of My Love Mix-Up Volume 4. This is gonna be very, very short. I read this on Christmas. I got it for a Christmas present. And it is very fitting that I got this on Christmas, as the first few chapters take place on Christmas. This volume explores the early dating life of Aoki and Ida, as Aoki wants to keep the relationship a secret, and Ida is just a bit too honest for his own good. As well as Ida realizing his feelings for Aoki, and that he's just a little more childish in the way that he shows his affection than one once thought. Honestly, also in this manga, Aoki's a fucking drama queen. He is such a drama queen. A lot of the problems stem because he's really, really anxious and is constantly on guard and takes things the wrong way. He's just a drama queen. He's a real Tamaki Suo type, but also with the personality of fucking Hikaru or some shit. That's the best way I can describe it. There's not a whole lot with the other couple this volume, which I'm actually very happy about. They are an interesting plot point, but not too interesting that I want a whole volume and B-plot about them. I'm more interested in our two main characters, Ida and Aoki. So, yeah, next is I Am a Cat. Now, I'm going to put another trigger warning for this series. Mentions of suicide, sexism, and both of those especially in the last chapter of this book. So it's a little difficult to get into and conceptualize as more than just a slice of life novel about a cat observing the world, but I Am a Cat is a philosophy book observing the world and the things we care about when living life. It's pretty difficult to describe. Here is the blurb of the book. I picked it up originally going to give it to someone as a Christmas present because it looked genuinely very interesting, and I'm pretty sure this person was doing philosophy in uni currently, or doing that as a compulsory class in uni currently. So I picked it up, looked at it, and then I was considering giving it to them, and then I didn't. So I kind of just held on to this book and was like, I'm gonna read this. This is gonna be my book now. It's a little Christmas present to myself. And then I bought the Junji Ito stuff and Yakuza Lover. I got Christmas money, so I bought those for myself, technically as a Christmas present from someone else. But I Am a Cat was a Christmas present to myself, and I didn't mean to buy it. It's definitely an interesting read, but not if you're not willing to be entertained. So I honestly like it because you are peeking into someone else's life. It's an adaptation of a Japanese book into manga form and obviously translated into English. So I have never read the original author's works before, so this was my take on it, and I can tell it's a philosophy book, or is based in philosophy and how to live life and all that sort of stuff, just from the way that it's structured and by the blurb itself. And I say, as long as you're not willing to be entertained, because it's very slice of life, and you kind of have to let yourself be immersed in the story. It's not the most entertaining, but it's very immersive, if that makes sense. This is more of a slice of life, observational type of book. If you like books that are fictional biographies of people's lives and are telling you a story with a narrator who's a character but is more of a narrator than a character, such as like in The Great Gatsby, and with a concept similar to The Baron in the Trees, then I Am a Cat is a very good story to read. Personally, I wasn't the huge fan of The Great Gatsby, but I did like the format that they did. However, Great Gatsby, our protagonist narrator is an unreliable narrator. I Am a Cat, not necessarily the same case, but I would say it's a lot more similar to Baron in the Trees, but Baron in the Trees is extremely out there in terms of its concept. So this is a more down-to-earth narrative that is very similar to Baron in the Trees in terms of format. If you are a literary nerd who likes to tear into and analyze literature, or likes easygoing philosophy novels, then this is a pretty good read. I found it very refreshing to read. I don't really have all that many opinions of it. It was just good to read. I liked it. It's not the biggest most impactful book you will ever read, but it's decent. I liked it. It was very refreshing and reminded me of Baron in the Trees quite a bit in the way that it's formatted. I might try and pick up a translated version of the original book, but that's not a guarantee. An immersive philosophy-based book is my way to describe it. Personally, yeah, really liked it. That is the end of I Am a Cat. Next is Venus in the Blind Spot. I finished this yesterday. It is my last Junji Ito book of the year. I have discovered I no longer need to read Go to read the Amigara Fault because it's in this book. I did not know that this wasn't a full book parallel to the likes of Censor, because it does look very similar to how Censor looks in terms of it's got the sleeve, it's a short story. I thought this was a full-length novel, only to find out no, in fact it is a short story collection. I actually think I will have to double check. I have a feeling this is one of the first short story collections before they actually made the short story collections. It has a lot of Ito's like adapted works, adapted by other creators, adapted from other creators and from other authors, much like Frankenstein. A lot of those are in here. You've got Principal Post and the Amigara Fault in here as well. All of this, as well as a autobiographical short story of him working with his hero Kazuo Umez, who, if you don't know, made the Drifting Classroom, which is the book that I'd actually intended to buy, not this. When I went to buy it, it wasn't in store, and I was so extremely upset that it wasn't in store because I had money to buy it for once. But no, I bought this instead. But it did have a little short on, Junji Ito talking about his big inspiration for writing and illustrating novels like these, Kazuo Umez, the man who inspired him in his own works. Despite the fact that I had thought it was a full-length novel, I actually really liked this book a lot. I really enjoyed Ito's adaptations of the horror short stories, and some of the originals in this book is just some of his best works, personally. The stories Billions Alone, The Human Chair, The Enigma of Amigara Fault, and The Sad Tale of Principal Post I'd already read before, but they were strong additions to this book, especially if this is the first Junji Ito book you've grabbed. This is a very good first addition to getting into Junji Ito, especially because it's his most powerful works pretty much in this book, and his adaptions in this book. In Unearthly Love, The Licking Woman, Keepsake, and How Love Came to Professor Kirita were all okay, but less so as strong contenders, but still fun to read as newer experiences. And the namesake of the book, The Venus in the Flytrap, Venus in the Blind Spot, honestly was actually very grim towards the end, especially with how one of the characters died. So very grim. Genuinely was a pretty decent story, an okay middle ground to have between the likes of Amigara Fault and Keepsake in the same book. It's a lot of ups and downs depending on what stories you like. Again, overall, if you like the Amigara Faults but do not want to pick up Gyo because you have the same gripes as me because it's just too gross out for you, then I would suggest Venus in the Blind Spot. It has a lot of fun short stories and a lot of Junji Ito's adaptations of other authors. Personally, The Human Chair is honestly my favourite one of Ito's adaptions thus far, with the second being Frankenstein, obviously. So, yeah. Favorite story overall, probably Venus in the Blind Spot, the namesake of the book, and The Human Chair. That being said, that is all of the manga for the year. That is not all the anime. Now, I know I said that I wouldn't talk about Chainsaw Man and Spy Family again for the year, but both of them managed to end their seasons just before the end of the year, with Chainsaw Man being the one that ended it yesterday. I thought Chainsaw Man was going to be a 25 episode season. No, it was in fact a 12 episode season, so clearly if it's by Mappa, it's 12 episodes. So here are my last notes on Spy Family and Chainsaw Man. Spy Family, as always, was very fun. I'm surprised at how much one season covered of manga, and equally was surprised to see the Desmond confrontation here because my mind confused different chapters and different arcs. I was almost certain the Your arc was before that interaction, but I was completely wrong. I went back and checked. Anime is pretty much going word for word what the manga is doing. I also never understood why Desmond was such an intimidating character, and the anime just proved why he was and fleshed out his character more for me. I honestly really enjoyed that and now understand why he's such a threatening character for this series. And that is pretty much my last note for Spy Family. I loved it. It was one of my top anime and manga of the year, as I said in the last video. Chainsaw Man. I have to give the overall series its props. It's animated so well, and the peaceful moments are really captured spectacularly well. All the quiet moments where there's no music, it's just ambiance and like the character being by themselves. Amazing. It really draws you in. If I was still in uni, I would definitely be analysing some of the Chainsaw Man scenes and soundtrack for my film assignments, but I did Ariete instead because Chainsaw Man wasn't out. I'd definitely recommend doing I would definitely recommend, if you are in film school or doing a media degree in uni, absolutely analyse Chainsaw Man because it's really, really fucking good, and I can definitely see how you can pick it apart that well in any sort of like film or media degree. The visual storytelling of the anime is fantastic in the anime, and just for overall the animation, I can't just give props to Mappa anymore. It is done really well. I'm honestly a huge fan of the soundtrack of this anime because the majority of it is done by Kensuke Ushio, the same guy who did the Devilman Crybaby soundtrack. And yes, I overall really liked it. I really enjoyed Chainsaw Man. I'm never gonna stop making the comparison between Chainsaw Man and Crybaby. I am going to rewatch Devilman Crybaby just so I can make a similar video to Kiss Kiss Fallen War, but with Chainsaw Man and Devilman. And that is all my notes for Chainsaw Man. Now for a new anime for once. So, Blend S. Yes, I actually got to watch Blend S with my partner over the last couple of days, I guess. I only have a few notes. I didn't get to write a full paragraph. I honestly like the Imoto type character, as they actually gave her out of uniform character a very mature air and actually gave her mature clothes when she's out of her Imoto type mode. Also, why was Colonel Sanders Micah's first love? Pretty much the entire series is an Anglophile, a gamer girl, a weeb, an otaku cook, a mature magical girl fanatic, a perverted doujinshi mangaka, and a trap are all in one cafe together. There's a dog sometimes too. Honestly, Mafuyu, who is the Imoto type, she is probably the most sane character in this series. So I gravitated more towards her as like one of my favorite characters, as well as the cook. But speaking of the cook, I actually hate the romance plots that are going on for this series. First of all, having Dino, I think that's his name, and Micah be a pair? That is so weird. But also, why are you making a subplot between the other high schooler and the cook? Why is it just the high school characters? Why did that need to be made? I don't understand. There is fan service. It is very off-putting in this show, but despite all my gripes with it, Blend S is very fun to laugh at. Definitely a good, fun, lighthearted series to not take seriously, and when there is something problematic, to point it out, laugh at it, and just be like, what the fuck is this shit? Also, that one scene where Dino is in prison should have been the end of the anime.
じゃあ、署までおとなしくしててね。
End of the anime. Let's go. Let's go. We don't even get to see the idol one. We don't get to see him. No. Dino just goes to prison. But we didn't do that. No, we didn't. Instead, Maiko and Dino have more of a relationship develop in this series. Oh my god. It's a funny anime. It's good to tear apart. 7. Gets a 7 out of 10 overall. Not the best, not the worst. Fun to laugh at, but not the worst thing in the entire world. And yeah, that is all of my anime and manga that I've watched in December. I will see you guys in this type of video in February. This really shouldn't have been the last WEEB wrap-up of the year. I shouldn't have had to post 3 fucking WEEB wrap-ups in 1 month, but that's on me and my poor planning of the WEEB wrap-up and the Otaku review. I'm the one who decided to make it bi-monthly after doing it for 1 month, so I'm stupid. So, that being said, you've probably had enough of the Otaku review for a little while, so starting 2023, the Otaku review / WEEB wrap up will be bi-monthly, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Will there be a bunch of WEEB wrap-ups next year around the same time? Maybe, but unlike with what I've done this year, I will do the yearly Otaku review on the 31st, December-November Otaku review midway through the month, the way I should have done this year's. Anyway, this is officially my final video of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching this year. My video production fucking ramped up tenfold compared to last year, so I have had a lot of fun making these videos this year, and I'm so glad you guys have been with me throughout this year and enjoying these cosplay videos, enjoying con VODs, con videos, for fuck's sake, con vlogs, though I didn't actually get to film any con vlogs. Should I say the abysmal event that was Crunchyroll X, and then the haul that was Crunchyroll X and Comic-Con. I hope you guys enjoyed those. I enjoyed those. I had a lot of fun this year, and I hope to have just as much fun with you guys next year, or tomorrow, really. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a amazing New Year's, or New Year's Eve, and New Year's, I guess. And I will see you guys next week in 2023. I love you. Bye.